I just want everyone to understand that the poetry that I wrote walking down that path was a trying time in my life. And a lot of times we go through things and we take those walks and you need some. Hi, I just want everyone. Own book is doing the most right now. Sorry. Hi, I just want everyone to understand that the poetry that I wrote walking down that path was a trying time in my life. And a lot of times we go through things and we take those walks and you need someone to take the walk down that path with you for them to understand the rough time that you went through. You don't want no one to judge you from what you went through. You don't want no one to look at you different from where you've been. You don't want them to see the hurt. You don't want nobody to see you crying. You don't want nobody to see your pain. But this is when you have to ask someone to walk that journey with you because it's hard. You know, I needed some. Hello, everybody. I thank you for tuning in to Let Loose and Be Free. How are we doing today? How are we doing today? I like to thank you and welcome Miss, let me make sure I pronounce it right, Melinda?
Melanie.
Melody. Call you Mel.
It's
Keep
Mel.
short.
It's fine.
See? How are
Or
you, Miss
MJ. You can
Bell?
call me MJ.
Well, we can do that too. How we doing, Miss MJ? Make it a whole lot
Doing
easier.
well. Doing
That
well.
is
How are you
awesome.
doing?
Awesome. I am awesome. I can't complain. Been a busy day, but we
Yeah.
are here doing what it is, you know? So I want you to be able to tell the audience, they already know your name, but who you are and where you're from.
Hi, good evening. My name is Melanie Johnson, and I am from Carthage, Mississippi. I currently live in Laurel, Mississippi. So I'm a country girl, and I am a school teacher, and I most recently got my first book published. So I'm an author, Womanly Wisdom.
Yay.
And it is a story about my life and trying to maneuver through life and learn about me as a woman who had went through issues of domestic abuse and mental issues and can now share my story with someone else. I also have become a poet and I'm getting ready
Okay.
to do some things with my poetry. So it's just an exciting year. It's been an exciting year for me this year, and I'm just happy to be here to be able to share my story with someone else.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, question for you. When
Mhm.
was the first time that you encountered domestic violence?
The first time I encountered domestic violence was about 6 months into my marriage. I
Mm.
was married for 23 years, and about 6 months into my marriage, I had the opportunity to walk upstairs, and I didn't. I mean, we were the only ones there. We were watching TV, and well, he was watching TV, and I came upstairs, and he was watching Jerry Springer, and there was something about a woman on there that was cheating on her husband, and immediately when I came in, he started portraying that onto me,
Oh,
like I
wow.
was the woman.
Yeah.
And like I was taking on that role and I had no idea because I wasn't watching the show and I was confused and I kept saying, I don't know what you're talking about. And he actually put his hands around my throat and pushed me up against the wall. And I was afraid because I knew we were the only ones there. And I kept screaming, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And um, we were living in his parents' house and they had some spirals, iron stairs. And he threw me down the stairs and I
Mm.
ended up on the floor. And at that point, I was afraid. I was alone. There was nobody else in the house. So the only thing I could think of was just, okay, go along with whatever he's doing. Don't upset him and then get out. And as I said, that was 6 months into my marriage. So, of course, I didn't get out. I went and talked to his parents, and they were like, well,
Mhm.
he's not going to do it again. He just needs medication. He's sick and I fell for that. I went along
Right.
with it. But I must say that's the only time he's ever been physically abusive to me. From that point on, they got him on medication, but his torture became more mental and financial instead of physical at that time, at that point.
Now, in the midst of going through this, being that it was more mental and verbal, am I
Hmm.
correct?
Hmm.
How did that make you feel? Like, what position did that put you in?
And I was just I just had the opportunity to speak to someone about this yesterday. A lot of times when you have the physical abuse, the scars heal and
Mm-hmm.
you can keep on going, but it's the verbal abuse and the mental abuse that linger, and those scars
Right.
are hard to heal. And even to this day, I've been divorced 4 years now. And even to this day, there are certain things that can trigger it and make me get back into that state where I think about something he said or some way he made me feel. And I have to talk myself out of believing that that is still the real, because he was a minister.
Mm.
So I saw him as being next to God, being it from the Bible
Right.
Belt. We put the ministers on a higher pedestal. So I was like, well, God should protect me from this. So what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? And since
Right.
he was the minister, I kept taking the responsibility of what was happening. Like, okay, what did I do wrong? So I worked hard to make sure that I supplied every need that I thought he could have. So I wouldn't have a reason to be called fat, um, told I was worth nothing, and cursed out. I tried to eliminate any reason for doing that. And so going through that process, it kept me on my P's and Q's. I was felt like I was walking on eggshells all the time. And I could never be around anybody other than him. If I was ever around another male, it could even be my father or my brother, I
Oh,
had to avoid
wow.
the entire conversation and be able to tell him what the person said and how I reacted, or else it would be an issue. So it
Wow.
it was mentally draining, and
Yeah.
that I lived away from my family. I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have an outlet.
So, being that, you didn't have an outlet, he isolated you, he was verbally and mentally abusing you. How did you, take the steps to relieve yourself from all of this? Because one thing it is, it's hard to get out of such a domestic and toxic relationship. It's never easy when you're trying to leave, especially if you love the person, you've been in with them for a while. It's like sometimes people leave and then they come back. How did you gather it together to actually, get up and was able to come out of it?
And I'm glad you said that, because I did leave and I came back. One of the things that I did, it had got to a point where it was life or death, and I could feel myself just slowly dying. I I had no energy to do anything. Everything was a struggle. I had attempted suicide twice,
Mm.
and the last time I prayed and I told God I wasn't gonna do that anymore. My dog saved my life. It was nobody at home but me and my dog, and I
Mm.
could have laid there and choked on my own vomit, and my
Mm.
dog pushed me and turned me over. And it was scary enough that I knew I had to get out, but it was dangerous because I did everything for him. So he was solely dependent upon me, which made it more dangerous for me to leave, because he would always tell me, "You can't leave me." So I actually checked myself into a mental institution, um, so that I could just get a break and get some
Right.
strategies to help me. And once I went there, I was diagnosed as being severe manic depressive.
Mm.
And I came home and nothing changed. Nothing
Right.
changed. So there was an incident that had happened, and it was a really big blow up. And my parents ended up, I went home for a weekend, and I didn't get to come back home. They put me on a flight and sent me away on a one-way ticket, and I was not supposed to come back. But the situation I went to was not a good one, so I ended up coming back. And when I came back to him, because I felt like the things that he was doing to my
Mhm.
friends and the people who were protecting me put them
Yeah.
into danger. And I did not want to be responsible for something happening to someone else. And I knew if I'm going to get out of this situation, I got to do it the right way. I got to
Right.
do it legally. And
Right.
so I came back hoping that things would be better, but realizing shortly after I got back that it's not any better. And if I don't leave, somebody's going to lose their life, and it will more than likely be me. And
Wow.
so after about 2 years of me coming back, I realized I had to leave.
Now, how much of a struggle was it to leave after going back the second time? Because you said you left, and then you went to a situation that wasn't no better, and then you went back and you stayed for 2 years, so like during that process, how like how did you have the strength to still stay for 2 more years?
Um, Being that he was a minister and I was the minister's wife, and that's one of the things I
Mm-hmm.
talk about in my book, I had to cover my image and I had to
Gotcha.
pretend that everything was okay. And in my pretending that everything was okay, I over exaggerated to the point that everybody thought we were the perfect couple. They
Gosh.
remind me of Tamla Man and Brown.
Right.
Because if you saw us out, you thought we were happy, perfect, because he put on the persona in front of people. And when I got home, I would resort to just shutting down and just being able to take whatever he gave me, as long as I could go back out the next day with my face looking like I was okay. And I started to believe that it's gonna be all right because
Mm.
I can do this. I'm strong enough. I can do this. Um, it wasn't until it wasn't until we got into an argument, and I say it's an argument, but it really wasn't because God told me, don't say anything. He said, don't say anything. So I pressed record on my phone and I sit there and listen to him rant for about an hour.
Mm.
And I continued to do what I was doing. And he had called his mom on the phone and was talking to her. And I knew he was doing something, but I had stepped out of the room. And when I stepped back in, um, he had a gun pointed
Oh.
at the door when I was coming in. And I knew that
Wow.
was a ploy for me to get a gun and retaliate so he could say he killed me out of self
Self
defense.
defense. Mm-hmm.
But God had told me not to. And I laid in the bed beside him with the gun
With the
pointed
gun.
at me. And I went to sleep. And that's when I made up in my mind, I can't do this because somebody's going to die. And I
Right.
don't want that to be me. I've had other members of my family who have been lost to domestic abuse, and
Right.
I don't want to be a statistic.
Right. Whew. Listen, I don't know if I would have been. Listen, that was strong because I don't know if I would have been able to go to sleep, being that he had a gun. I mean, I know the Lord was talking to you. I just don't know if I was going to be able to do that because I remember going through my process, and the person I was dealing with, they was literally, how you have the stand up fans
Hmm.
that they took it apart and they was just swinging it. They already had knocked my TV off my stand, and they were standing in front of the door, and they was just swinging it. To me, it's like you could have took that and bashed me in my head and killed me. I don't
Hmm.
know. I sat there and prayed all night.
Hmm.
So
Well, my prayer when I laid down, I still remember it. I still remember the sound of the gun. I even wrote a poem about it. But
wow.
my prayer was, Lord, if tonight is my night, let my parents know that I'm okay. Forgive me for any wrong that I've done to anybody, and let everybody know that I love them. And I simply closed my eyes. That was
Amen.
my prayer.
He had a purpose for you. I can't wait to read this book. Listen.
And I can say that since my book was published, I've had so many people contact me and tell me it's like you're in my head. Some
Mhm.
of the things that I couldn't say, some of the feelings I had, you explained it. And I even had one lady today. She's been trying to get her hands on it for a couple of weeks, and she got it, and she put on Facebook, "I enjoyed reading your book. It helped me to be able to smile." And that's all I ask God to do. Let
Mm-hmm.
me be able to help somebody else, because we all have these masks on. And I like your
Mm-hmm.
book, The Mask Behind the Mask. We all wear these masks,
Mm-hmm.
and we portray our image that we want people to see. But
Yep.
what happens when we unveil? What happens when we take that mask off?
And it's crazy because my second book is called Unveil the Broken Pieces of a Mask. So when you talk about it, see, all connected. But yeah.
Praise God. And so I've been blessed to be able to this little country girl. And I'm a math teacher. I'm not an ELA teacher. I never thought I'd be a writer, but someone convinced me somebody needs to hear what you have to say.
Which is
So
absolutely true.
I sat there and I wrote, and it was therapeutic for me. But I just asked God, please let it be helpful for somebody else. Please let someone get something from this. And I've been grateful enough to hear people say, I got this. Thank you. I can do this. I can see a way out now. Because my book doesn't give you like a 12-step program or five
Mm-hmm.
steps and this is what you do. I just go through the pain that I endured
Right.
and the strategies that helped me to do it, so that I can show someone else it's not easy.
Right.
People think, okay, if you decide to leave, that your life is going to be so much better. When I left,
No.
I was depressed. I can
Mm-hmm.
remember the first time I went to a movie theater by myself.
Mm.
It was so lonesome sitting there, and I'm used to, whispering to my partner, and he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I'm alone now. And after
Mm-hmm.
I went to my vehicle and I sat on the passenger side,
Yeah.
not realizing that there was no driver.
Nobody got.
And
Yep.
I sat there and cried. And I cried because I had to face the fact I am alone. And there's some
Mm-hmm.
things that I discussed in the book that I've never tried, I've never done, I've never driven. I wasn't allowed to drive myself anywhere. And so
Mm.
me driving to major cities, I was like, I can't do that. And I had to
Right.
learn that cannot be part of my vocabulary. I can do it. It just takes some time. It takes a GPS system. It
Mm-hmm.
takes something, but I can.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I wanted people to know is that it's not easy. It's not magical. It's
No.
a struggle, but you gotta think about it. It's gonna be hard either way. It's gonna be a struggle either way. You're either gonna struggle and stay in your mess, or you're gonna struggle, get yourself out, and progress toward um, bettering yourself. I choose
Right.
myself. No matter how hard it
Absolutely.
is, I'm gonna try.
Yes. And I commend you and I commend anybody else that's out there trying to figure it out because we still have the triggers. We
Hmm.
still have the nightmares sometimes.
Hmm.
We still have the anxieties.
Hmm.
It doesn't go away, but it's all about finding a way to function in the
Yes.
midst of the life after trauma.
Yes.
Because listen, it's a mission.
It is. It is.
Because like when you get into another relationship, it's like if they do something that reminds you of what you've been through, it triggers you.
It does. It does.
Now, have you attempted to be in a relationship after this?
Um, I have, and I must say that it's hard. It's hard
Hmm.
to find that balance and say, okay, I can do this. So I haven't had like a long term relationship since
Yeah.
then, because I've only been divorced 4 years, but it actually be 4 years in November. But I've had what I call situationships,
Yeah.
but what I've gone through has caused me to um, take on a different persona.
Yeah.
I don't I don't have um that trusting um
Spirit,
emotion, yeah,
emotion.
spirit inside of me that I had before.
Yeah. It makes you
And so,
guarded.
yes, and so when I was, seeing people going out and stuff, and
Mhm.
it just, I don't know, some people probably would say it was like I was had manly aspects because I didn't I wasn't the girly type and falling all over and say, "Oh, I got this. This is my boyfriend."
Mhm.
It was just like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing him, but it's nothing serious. It
Right.
was something I would dismiss, but that was not fulfilling for me at all. I'm in a great place now. I'm
That's so
happy where I am, and I'm working on me. And what God has for me is for me. And it wasn't those situationships that I tried because
right.
that just didn't work out. But I didn't let that make me feel defeated. I
Right.
just I just
Absolutely.
realized that he has something better for me and I just wait on what he has.
Now, if you had to tell somebody or talk to somebody that's going through the situation right now, or maybe trying to figure out how to get out of it, or trying to figure out the red flags, what would you say to them?
Okay, first of all, it's very important to recognize those red flags. If you have someone that's trying to isolate you, uh, determine who your friends can be, keep you away from doing things to better yourself, those are red flags. And you need to search for a way to get out of that situation. Um, but you can't do it alone. I
Right.
tried for years to do it by myself and I could not because you're always going to second guess whatever you're trying to do. So I would suggest seeking some professional help. If you can't afford professional help, find someone you can trust, someone trustworthy that can help you to navigate through those things. Because one of the things I found when I was trying to come out of the situation is that I couldn't trust my own instincts. What I thought was going on or what I felt like, um, I I just couldn't trust it. I didn't know if my thinking was flawed,
Hmm.
because I was damaged.
Right.
So I didn't feel like I was a complete person and I can make complete decisions. But I was blessed to be able to have the training that I had gotten when I went to the mental institution, and I worked through some of that there. And then I was able to get a mentor, and actually I had two. They were a couple, and they were able to mentor me and help me to be able to navigate through. Because I would have questions, and I
Yeah.
would have like, okay, I don't know what to do in this situation, and it wasn't like someone to tell you, well, this is what you should do, but they asked the right questions to get you to formulate those ideas, and that's what helps you to be able to start the process for healing. Someone telling you, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, that's not healing.
Right.
That's taking that control from one person and placing it in another person's hands. But you need
Hmm.
who can you can trust to be able to guide you into your healing process. And that's one of the things I point out in my book. Don't try to do it alone.
Right.
Find someone trustworthy enough that you can, and that can guide you, and then work through it along with God, because God is with you. He's with you while you're going through your struggle.
Hmm.
He's just waiting for you to come to him.
Right.
And so those are the things that I would tell someone who is trying to get out. Don't try to do it by yourself. Find a support system, because we all need somebody. And if you were able to find someone to talk to, you realize that we're all going through some of the same struggles. We're just not talking about it
Right.
because it's taboo.
Definitely.
I have a
Definitely.
poem that I wrote that kind of helped me to get through it, and I wanted to share it with you if you don't mind.
I don't mind, hon.
it's
Bless
called
us.
broken. It's called Broken Still Reflect. Shattered images, sharp edges, fragmented pieces of disconnect. Although it seems worthless and useless, just wasteful rubbish, we yet find that broken mirrors still reflect. I may not focus on the entire picture and therefore not getting the full effect, but what I can see are images of me, reminding me that broken mirrors still reflect. Focusing on one piece over another Each detail trying to inspect will only leave me wondering. My own self image I'm blundering just to see what broken mirrors will reflect. Reflection is a reactive feat, only responding to the image or subject. So, what if I dislike or don't think I look like the image the broken mirror reflects? Because the reflection is broken doesn't mean I'm a wreck. Different angles it shows of a woman who grows from ashes nobody would disclose and turmoil she never chose to finally expose what she supposes that everyone should know, that no matter what, you should glow, knowing that broken mirrors still reflect.
I need that poem to put on my wall. That is
Thank
everything
you.
right there.
Thank you.
Listen, mess around. I'll be to have you on my second spoken album. Stop playing. Be like, girl, I need you to do a piece.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
But
ma'am.
that is everything. I love it. Somebody needed to hear that. Somebody needed to be inspired. Somebody needed to be motivated through that poetry. And it was awesome. Can you tell them how to follow you, how to connect with you, how to get your book, all those good things, please,
Yes,
ma'am?
my book is entitled Womanly Wisdom, What They Couldn't Tell Me. And notice the they is lowercase because they are unimportant to us. They always have something to say, but it's Womanly Wisdom, What They Couldn't Tell Me. And it's available on Amazon, or you can inbox me. I'm on Facebook, Melanie Johnson. You can follow me on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm under EMJAE 2017. Um, if you want an autograph copy, just inbox me on Facebook, and I'll send you the information so you can get an autograph copy. Um, I think that's my platforms. But I'm just I'm just getting started. I know God has some wonderful things in store, and I want to make sure that we can propel together. This book is therapy for me, and I wanted to be able to bless someone else, help someone else. So Amazon, Womanly Wisdom, Melanie Johnson. Look it up by my name, and follow me on Facebook. You can always see me doing something. I'm always trying to encourage somebody, always trying to speak a good word, and whatever I can do, just DM me. I got you.
Listen, amen, amen, amen. I thank you for coming through to let loose and be free. You blessed us with that amazing
Amen.
survival story. You blessed us with that awesome poetry because you know I'm a poet too, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
listen, listen, listen. That thing is everything. Don't be surprised I hit you up like, hey, I need you to do a poem on this project I got going on. So
Okay.
I will be connecting with you, and I do have another show I'm gonna put you on. So I will be in your inbox. We will chat. I thank you. I truly appreciate you. And we will be connecting. I love you. You have a great day, hon.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We next up, we have Mr. Frederick. How are you, my brother?
Hey, what's up?
Can't
What's
hear
happening? What's
you.
going on? What's happening? What's up?
Nothing much. Listen, listen, listen. Awesome, awesome, awesome. How are you? It's been a while. We haven't chatted in a minute.
I know, man. It's been a nice little bit, a nice long minute. So, yeah,
Yes,
I'm doing pretty good, man. Today was
that's good.
kind of a slow day for today at work. So yeah, but I'm glad that that part of it is over.
Right. So I thank you for coming on to Let Loose and Be Free. You gave me the honor to let you tell the story of this amazing, these survival stories. Like, I thank you for coming through. So can you
Oh,
let the people know who you are and where you're from?
oh, most definitely. So my name is Frederick Beatty. I am an author, podcaster, blogger. Lord knows everything else in between. I'm born and raised in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, to be more precise. I currently live in Ellenwood, Georgia. Have been back here in Georgia since August of last year. Um, my goodness, like I said, I wear a lot of hats, but my baby is my platform, Trailblazers Radio, which I which me, my sister Quint, and my sister Coco, we all handle that together, um, and we make it work.
Absolutely. So, would you like to tell us about this survival story? Let's just go ahead and jump into this testimony. Like, let's just tell me what happened and what's going on.
So my story is kind of one that's not necessarily always spoken about.
Hmm.
It's not spoken about because of the person that's afflicted, which is
Right.
which is a male. So my story starts from both sides of the track. Um, this story starts in 1997. Was dating a young lady. I won't mention her name to protect her. Um, Even though it's been like almost 20 some odd years ago, I still don't mention her name because I want to make sure that I want to protect her as well. So
Understood.
was dating a young lady back in 1997. Things were going well, going good. You know, everything was going the way that I imagined it to go. And then some things started going downhill. Um, argued the Our arguments were a little bit more frequent. The accusatory gestures of me being unfaithful or being or infidelity started a lot more. Um, that which the infidelity part really wasn't the case because I spent most of my waking moments with her, and if it wasn't with her, it was at a job I had. You know, I just had a lot of people that I befriended that we had relationships that I had good working relationships with. So normally normally the arguments would usually just take me outside to take a walk, blow off some steam, you know. After that, come back in a bet in a much better mood, in a much better space, um, emotionally. One day that didn't happen. So and we had an argument. Things kind of got out of hand, and when I say out of hand, things got physical. Um,
Hmm.
to to put this quite bluntly, I brought harm to this person. Um, you know, and when I say harm, I mean not grievous harm, but enough to warrant me to be put in handcuffs and in the back of a police car. To kind of
Right.
put this even more bluntly, um, I grabbed her by the throat, slammed her against the wall, threatened her with a knife. Um, she tried to defend herself from the knife. She received a cut on her hand
Hmm.
that required a lot of stitches. And like I said, that was enough for me to be put in back of a squad car, handcuffed, and taken to the nearest police station. Now this happened in California,
Okay.
so I was far away from home, and I was scared to death.
Hmm.
Um, I really do thank God. Really do thank God for the detective that came in, that the person that questioned me, that questioned me. He noticed that I was extremely remorseful of what I did, and he told me to write the whole incident down. And after I did that, I felt so ashamed of it. I hugged my head down and just started crying silently. He literally came from sitting in front of me to putting his hand on my shoulder and telling me, "Hey, look, man, it's okay. You you're gonna get through this." But he said, but he told me the grim reality of it. I gotta put you here, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do that, which is something I understood. A couple days later, get in front of a judge. Got a reprieve. We're gonna charge you with this. Now, the original charge that I had was assault with a deadly weapon, and I think it was assault with intent to cause severe bodily injury. They bust that down to spousal. I think it's spousal battery.
Hmm.
which was a lesser crime, So basically, the original charges were felonies,
Yeah.
but I was charged with a misdemeanor crime, and say, hey, look, just get help, get out of here, just do what you got to do and get help, and you know, walked out of there, you know, of you know, I felt like I caught a break,
Mhm.
but didn't necessarily catch a break
Right.
because like 4 months later, I'm right back in the same place where I started. Not with her,
Mhm.
but I'm living someplace else. But she has my stuff, so I wanted to get my things, and there was a no contact order, and well, things didn't get out of hand at that point because I knew if I would have did anything drastic other than what I did, it would have been worse. The only thing I did
Right.
was damage. The only thing I did was damage the property, but it was still a stupid move.
Mhm.
So 4 months later, got got arrested again for violating my probation. Spent um, 86 days in the Santa Barbara County Jail. Just thinking about what the hell I did and what went wrong in all this and everything. During that time, I just kind of try to put things in their proper perspective, try to work on, try to be a better person, you know, and also to the point trying to make sure that I put that part of it behind me.
Right.
Get out 86 days later, in a better mood and being a better person. Started hanging out with my brother and his girlfriend. And then we I came across somebody who had a niche who I previously spoke to, and we had decided to try to spark up some things.
Mhm.
Everything was cool. Everything was good, 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 good. You know, Find out that she was moving to Washington State. So I feel like I need a new start. So I went. So I moved. So I went with him. Again, I won't say this person's name because again,
Mhm.
this is to protect her and her family.
Absolutely.
Um, get to Washington State. Everything's cool, honky dory. Everything's what I thought it was supposed to be, or what I imagined it to be. Later on down the line, things kind of got worse. Things I won't say worse, but things progressively got. I won't say worse, but they kind of went downhill from that point. Um, and I'll say this, without being too overly dramatic about it. It's Let's just put it like this: um, there was verbal abuse initially
Mhm. With you or with her?
with her. It was her.
Okay.
She was the abuser
So
to begin with.
now you're the victim and it okay, so it switched. Gotcha.
Yeah. So now it's verbal abuse with her. She's the one that's verbally abusing me, you know, saying disparaging things. Uh, then it got to the point to where it was at times it got physical. Not
Mhm.
all the time, but at times where it just seemed like maybe to her I wasn't getting her point wasn't getting across.
Mhm.
So there would be some sort of reprieve for that, maybe a slap across the face or some other
Wow.
things. Um, the For some strange reason there was, I won't say for some strange reason. Seemed like every time I was verbally or physically abused, there was sex involved, and I'm like, you just cussed me out. Why are we doing this right now? I don't feel like I
Wow.
ain't in the mood for all that.
Yeah.
So that continued for a while. Um, it got to the point to where I felt like I was going down this road, and the reason I didn't say anything or really say nothing to anybody at that time because I was already on the hot seat for what I did in California, and
Mhm.
and if I were to say something like that, I felt that this person had the power over me because they always said that if you say something about what I'm doing, then I'll tell her what you did. Oh, wait a minute,
Wow.
why you gonna hold that over my head? Can't
Mm.
do that. So this continued for a while. A nice this continued for a while until I got to the point to where I couldn't I couldn't take it. I couldn't be in that situation anymore because the longer if I would have stayed in that situation, I would have. I have no idea what would have happened. I
Right.
mean, I have no earthly idea, but I know if I would have stayed in that situation, I'd be much more of a broken person than I would have been.
Right.
So, um, so one day when I was going to my second job, um, we had just got into another argument at that point. This was about
Mm.
money. This was about money. You know, the argument got intense. You know, I wanted to shy away from all that because I really didn't want to have that type of conversation.
Right.
And then it got caught a hand to the face. Um, they her and her folks left. Um, so as I was preparing myself to go to the second job, I grabbed everything. Everything that I came into that relationship with, which wasn't a lot. Left everything that she had bought me in the closet. Put all that stuff in a duffel bag. Grab my backpack. Put everything else that couldn't fit in the duffel bag in a backpack. Um, put on my jacket. You know, cut a hole in the screen door because I didn't want to just walk out the door. So I put a hole in the screen door through the backpack um, and the duffel bag out in the window. No, told the young lady's mother that I see them later on. I walked outside. Went around the back. Went around to where the window where my stuff was. Put my backpack on my back. Put the duffel bag on my left side, and I walked out into a cold, rainy Washington State night.
Mm.
Not knowing where the hell I was going.
Wow.
But my thought process was I gotta get the hell out of here.
Right.
Because so I'm walking and I'm walking and I'm walking. You know, after I done walked, at least maybe 2 to 3 miles, I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. Now, it's raining in Washington, but it's not raining as hard as hard. It's not raining really hard, but it's enough to where you notice it. So after a couple of miles, I stopped and I closed my eyes and I said, God, I have no idea where I'm going. So I really want you to guide me and take me to where I want to take me to where I need to go. I don't want to be here, but take me somewhere. You know, after I said that, I took a deep breath, I opened my eyes, and I kept walking. Um, the whole time, this whole time, I am scared for my life because I did not want her to pull up on me and for me to get whisked back into a car back to that house because if
Right.
that would have happened, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know what would have happened at that point, and I was so afraid for that. So another 3 miles passed, and there's a bus depot, a public transit depot that's in the distance, and I'm elated because I'm making progress. I get to the transit depot, you know, the bus driver looked at me and said, because I was gonna pay him the fare, and he was like, "Nah, man, just get on board. Don't worry about the fare." And so I asked him where he was going, and he was going towards. I forgot. He said he was going to a Renton, Washington, but I asked him because I guess I was his last fare of the day
Mm-hmm.
of the night, and I asked him, Would you be able to take me to Seattle?"
Mm.
He said, "Why?" He said, "Because," I said, "Because that's where the nearest Greyhound bus station is," and I just want to get away from a situation a hurtful situation. You know, like I said, I was his last fare. I was his last fare of the night, and he drove. He went to Seattle.
Mm.
The funny part about it is that was on his route anyway. So he took me. So we went to downtown Seattle. I went to the Greyhound bus station. I bought a bus ticket to California. You know, it was a 2.5. It was an hour wait for the to get on the bus. Again, I'm still scared because I don't know what's gonna happen if she comes to this bus station, and
Right.
I didn't want to cause a scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the bus. I go to California. You know, I touched back down in San Diego because that's where I was at initially. You know, I was surrounded by by good friends, and and we talked about a lot of this stuff, and it was, to say the least, it was a difficult transition, to say the least, because when you go through all that and you try to process it and you try to put it in some way to where it makes to some sort of sense to you, and it doesn't make sense, and you're trying to figure out why did it happen, why you,
Right.
why me, this could happen to anybody else but me. You know, there's a lot of things behind that. You know, um, for the first time with the first incident, it put me in a situation where I didn't really want to date anybody. All at that point, I didn't want to date nobody. Every relationship that I had from that point forward was strictly physical.
Mm.
It was just sexual in nature. I didn't want any type of companionship. Look, just
Right.
I just want some ass, and let's get, and then you bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the use of the colorful metaphor, but
You're fine.
so it's the funny, and, and I say all that to say, now, up now is, everything, I'm a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm a much better person because of it, and I'm actually in a wonderful relationship with a wonderful lady, and I can't thank her enough for just being that person, being there for me. But I say that now to say this. 20 years later, 20 some odd years later, to talk about it 20 some odd years later still brings up those strong emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm actually I'm sitting here holding back a lot of emotions now because of it.
Right.
Um, well, to one incident, which was me committing the act on someone,
Mm-hmm.
um, ostracized me. The second act, someone committing the abuse and the act against me, stigmatized me again because I'm a dude. I'm a male.
Right.
This doesn't happen to guys. This thing just doesn't happen to guys. Men are supposed to be stronger people than a woman is when it comes to things of that nature. Well, I would tell those people that you're wrong. That you're wrong. It happened to me.
Right.
It it caused me to reevaluate myself as a person. It caused me to reanalyze and to analyze myself as a man.
Mm-hmm.
But it also forced me to. It also kind of put me in the sense of looking at things from a different perspective. You
Right.
know, I didn't. And the funny thing about it is, I see a counselor. I see a mental health counselor to this day. I didn't know. I had no idea that stuff that happened to me 20 years ago, 20 some odd years ago, was a trigger
Mm-hmm.
for the anxiety, the depression, the PTSD. I didn't know that
Right.
those were triggers for that. I didn't know that stuff that happened that long ago could trigger something, could trigger stuff that happened that trigger those conditions.
Right.
And even now, just kind of just going through, um, now going through an impending divorce with my spouse,
Mhm.
with the person that I was married with for 13 years or so. Um, I even look at that as an opportunity for growth. Really, you know, a lot of the things that I went through from the 20 some odd years ago up to now has really just kind of put me in a much more introspective perspective.
Right.
The reason I say that is because for me, everything is a matter of not a matter of perspective, but it's a matter of looking inward and trying to figure out the pros and cons of things. If I do this, what's the advantages? If I do this, what's the disadvantages?
Right.
Do they do one does one outweigh the other? What should I do if one outweighs the other? I'm extremely careful about the people who I engage with as far as um, interpersonal relationships now. Um, I'm I'm a lot more guarded than I was before. It's not, and I tell people it's not on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's not on. It's not.
Mhm.
I'm not. It's not on purpose. It's it's based upon the things that I went through, that I've experienced. I'm not. I'm
Right.
not. I'm not shutting you out on purpose, and I'm not trying to keep distance with you on purpose. But you gotta give me a moment to kind of figure out who you are, and try
Mhm.
to put some things look at you and say, hey, look, are you safe to deal with?
Right. Are you truly who you are?
Yeah,
Like.
are you safe to deal with? I mean,
Mhm.
or better yet, do I want to deal with you?
Right.
And it's been a lot. I mean, I never knew that any of that triggered all of that. And there are there are good days, there are bad days, and then there are just days
Right.
to where I think about all that. I think about what happened 20 some odd years ago. I think
Mhm.
about um, not to necessarily get off subject, but I think about what happened to my oldest child in 2015 and the ramifications of that to me, for me mentally and emotionally. I think
Right.
about what happened, what happened with my marriage and why that failed. So all those things kind of weigh on me, but it all boils back to the what happened 20 some odd years ago. That those were things that triggered all these strong emotions and
Mhm.
everything that I felt up to that point. It and even in some instances, I still think about it because I still think about it, and it always goes back to me. Always goes back to my thought process. Why did I do
Right. And what answer did you come up with?
that? What answer? The answer was out that I was an angry young man.
Did you figure out where the anger came from?
Yeah, they did. I did. It came from a lot. Came from just dealing with the things within my family. Now, mind you, my father, my grandfather, none of the men in my family were like this
Mhm.
to the women that they were around, that they were with. My father was never like that to my mother. My
Mhm.
my uncle was never like that to my aunts, none of them. So I had to figure why was I like that?
Right.
Why did I fail? Why did I fail? Why did I fail where my dad and my uncles them succeeded as far
Mhm.
as treating women? You know, again, it just boils back to me being an angry person, an angry young man, dealing with the fallout of my mom and dad not being together in their marriage. Also
Right.
dealing with my own personal hell
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with my own personal demons,
Right.
and then dealing with the simple fact of failing as a man because I did the one thing that I had promised myself I
That
would
you won't
never
do.
that I would never do, or that I would never perpetrate on a woman, and that's to put
Mm-hmm.
my hands on her and harm her. So that made me feel like a failure, and that's I think that put me into a deep depression when I was in California. I really didn't bother with anybody. Didn't go outside. Didn't go outside. Um, I didn't. I don't think I actually had went outside to have physical contact with people until maybe 6 or 7 months being there
Mm.
because I didn't want to be bothered.
Right.
And I was honestly speaking, I was afraid of me. I was
Right.
afraid of me. I was afraid that if something went down, I would lash out at somebody and make
Yeah.
them. And yeah, so it was a lot, and it took a lot for me to to really come to grips with that. You know, if you look at me, if you look at the person I was in 1997, if you look and compare me to now, it'll be night and day. It'd be like it'd be like a day that's a blue sky, a clear blue sky with sunshine, or a very dark gray sky with a lot of rain.
Yeah. Just depending on what side of the bed you woke up on.
Yeah, yeah. It is, but it also forced me to just look at things. It's also for it. I won't say it forced me to, but it caused me to look at things in a different way. It caused me to just really just look inwardly into myself and
Right.
to accept what had happened, forgive myself, move forward, and figure out a way to make a change or change it, or not to change it for myself because, but try to change that narrative in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Now, to any guys that's out there that may be going through the domestic violence, like what message would you have for them? Because, like you said, as a man, they feel embarrassed sometimes that that it happened, or they don't want to say anything because, or well, they don't want to do anything because they know they can physically harm the person that's actually abusing them. And like your case, you don't want to get back in trouble because you was in trouble already, and she
Yeah.
hold this over your head because she knew that that was something she was trying to hold over you. And she was like, well, I can abuse him because he ain't gonna do it back because he already got in trouble somewhere else. So what would your message be to any guy that's going through that situation? And like, what would you say
Okay.
to him?
There'll be a lot of things that I could say, but I think the main thing that I would really say to a gentleman that's either being an abuser or the one that's being abused, and I can actually speak to both of those, but I'll start with the abuser first. Um, and I thought about that because I was listening to Miss Melanie's story, and I was like, I was moved by that, but also kind of
Hmm.
brought to a personal moment in my own life.
Right.
So the first thing that I would say would be this: find out what's going on. Find out what's going on internally. Is there some residual anger from a past incident where you abused yourself as a child, whether it was sexual abuse, whether it was physical abuse, whether it was emotional or verbal abuse? You know, get to the root of that and find and heal that part of you first, because if you don't do that, you will always carry that over into the next relationship, into the next relationship, into the next relationship, and so on and so forth. And you'll continue to hurt people because of that. So find out what's going on internally first and fix that. Shore up
Right.
those walls and, clear up all the mess that's going on within that first. Secondly, you know, find some help. Find help. Um, whether it's the forum of someone in clergy, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a good friend that you know that you can speak to in confidence. Find some help, man. It doesn't matter who it is. If professional help is is recommended, but if it's someone that you can talk to in confidence, then do so. Because I think the healing process starts when you understand what triggers you and what pushes your buttons.
Right.
And lastly, and I think this goes for both the abuser and the abused, whether it's, and this is just, I think this is universal, whether it's male or female,
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, forgive yourself, but also forgive the person that brought harm to you. Remember, forgiveness isn't for the person that harms you; it's for you.
Absolutely.
So learn to forgive yourself. That's it now, and learn to forgive the person that harms you. The second part of that forgiveness is the hardest part of it,
Yeah.
because it's really difficult to forgive the person that brought grievous harm to you, and it's a hard deal. I had to struggle with that for so long,
Ooh.
because every time you think about this person, you look at this person, and you be like, oh my god, I want to just bring harm to this person.
Yeah.
And or better yet, I know some people that I can ask to bring harm to this person,
Right.
and I look at it from that point. It's easy to want to wish for or to bring grievous harm to the person that has hurt you severely. It's an easy process to do that, because it's an easy thing to just say, look, you did this to me. Now I'm gonna inflict the same harm you inflicted upon me. But where's the joy in that? Where's the victory in that? There isn't. That's not even a hollow victory, honestly speaking.
Right.
So forgiving that person for what they did to you is the hardest thing that I think any of us could ever do to someone who's hurt us, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. And it doesn't take a strong person to do this. You just have to just have to adapt the mindset to do it. You know, as much as you see this person, and you be like, God, I want to hit him with a car right now.
Which is true facts, though.
or better
Listen.
or better yet, I mean, I know somebody that's in the military. I can have them wipe him out right now.
Yeah. And that's the
But
scary part. That's
it
the
is
scary part.
it is really really scary, because when you look at it, it's like, I want to hurt this
Wow.
person, but that will hurt me.
You're right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you know what? Let me just back up and just let that person live. Let them do what they do. God and karma gonna get them.
Mr. Frederick, I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for sharing your story because we don't normally hear your side coming from the male perspective. But I know as a victim, I, in um relationships that I've tried to have since then, I have to work hard to make sure that I don't become the opposite of what I was. I was the victim, and I try to work hard to make sure that I don't take on some of those aggressive characteristics with a new relationship. Being that you coming from both sides, how difficult is that to balance? Because I can see being a victim, trying not to be a victim again, so you become more aggressive. But since you've also had that aggressive side, how difficult is it for you to balance those two?
So that's a good question that you asked. And the funny part about that is the balance part comes from, just for me, understanding who I am, who I am now, versus who I was then,
Hmm.
and understanding that, that's a part that unfortunately, both of those instances are a part of me.
Hmm.
They'll forever be a part of me until God calls me home. The other thing that I've learned is that those incidents don't have a hold on you, or they don't control you. It's to date someone, to get into that thing and date somebody, and you've already been through that, which means you're already vulnerable and you want to, you're in protective mode
Hmm.
all the time. That's, I will say that that's kind of, that's not necessarily living,
Mm-mm.
because that's almost like a slow death for the way I see it.
Right.
You have to be able to kind of let parts of you out
Hmm.
or be vulnerable to some degree, because, and I had to understand that not everybody has it in for you. Not everybody wants to hurt you. Not everybody wants to, you know, harm you. It's just that now that you have to be more discerning about it. It doesn't necessarily be being closed off or standoffish. You just have to be more discerning with it. If you can see that somebody, that this person's bad news from 10 miles away, you know to avoid that person. But if someone's actually showing the effort and the concern and the care, and they want to get to know you as an individual, then you know it's okay to let somebody in at increments at a time. And I think when we engage in people, we tend to let everybody know every part about us in one fell swoop, and
Mm-hmm.
never let anybody be intrigued or be curious. And I think with a lot of people, especially with a lot of women, um, the moment that you mention, that you say something like, "Well, I've been in this abusive relationship," and I'm guilty of it too, because for me the overprotectiveness kicks in,
Hmm.
because the person that I'm dating now, she's been in that situation, and my
Mm-hmm.
overprotectiveness, my overbearing protectiveness just kicks in. Boom. Who, what, where? Who are they? Where they at? Let me find them. And you have to assure that person that you're with that it's okay for them to be protective, and it's okay for them to want to protect you, um, but also let them know that that you're okay, and that you let them know that it's a process for you, and that you're okay with it, that you're okay, that you're okay. You know, the person I date always tells me all the time, hey, when I need you, I'll call you. Okay,
Right.
no
Yeah.
problem, no worries. You ain't got to worry about me. Just when you need me, just call. Because and the funny part about all this now, even going through those two incidents, I am I am much more protective of the women in my family now than I probably would have, than I was, and that I ever would have been. Even now, even more cognizant of the person that I'm with. The person that I'm dating, and she's like, "Why are you doing all that? That's extra." No, it ain't. Making sure you okay, kid. Making sure you okay, kid. I mean, it's it's easy to fall into that trap of saying,
Yeah.
"Well, I ain't finna mess with nobody
Right.
Yeah,
because
it
I
is.
because I know they gonna do something to me." You don't know that.
But it's so hard to get comfortable with people after going through the traumatizing situation. Like me, it took me a while. I think it took me about maybe 5 plus years. I was in and out of situationships,
Hmm.
or how they say entanglement now is what they call it.
Oh
But
Lord,
Yeah.
entanglement. That's what they
listen,
call them.
look, something, listen, whatever names they won't call it, but situationships. And eventually I learned how to let my guard down. But a lot of times it was always something that triggered that remind me of something else that someone else did. And
Yep,
then I had to realize, why am I still inviting these same people in my atmosphere as well?
exactly.
Why are that, what's up with me that I'm allowing them to even get that comfortable to be around me? So I had to do that inside work.
Yeah.
Now, question for you. For the guys that enter into a relationship, or women that enter in a relationship that someone that has been abused, how do you think they should tread as far as getting into these relationships? Sometimes you get in a relationship with people and they say they understand, but they don't understand, because then you'll tell them that your trigger is you might talk too loud. But as guys, sometimes your voice, it goes up a level,
Sure.
but that could
Right.
be a trigger for people. So how do they, how I say, function or involved, or try to figure out how to be how could I say, be coincide together as a companion. I guess you call it, and enter into a relationship with somebody that's been traumatized and that's been through some things, guy or girl, because you'll have women that's entering in a relationship with men that's been abused. And how do they proceed in that function, being that you are entering a relationship with a woman that's been abused?
Uh, so for me, it was it was a feeling. It's always in any relationship. Honestly speaking, it's gonna be a feeling out process.
Hmm.
It has to be. You have to figure out who this person is, and you know why. You ask questions, but you don't ask probing questions because sometimes you don't want to trigger. You don't want to set something off that'll you know cause a whole avalanche. But it's to me, I look at that in some instances as like navigating murky waters, and I mean that quite literally
Hmm.
because now you have this person who has these triggers that's been through this traumatic experience, and the slightest thing can set them off in a fit of either in a fit of anxiety, or their PTSD might kick in, or they may be depressed for days on end.
Hmm.
So the one thing I would say is that there is an element of time involved, and you have to take that time to get to know this person, understand what their triggers are, and know not to you know trip over those landmines that'll cause that anxiety, or that'll cause that depression or PTSD or anything else to pop up.
Right.
And one thing I wanted to add to that, with that time element, we need to learn how to communicate,
Oh
because
Hmm.
man,
if you can't communicate your feelings with one another, those triggers gonna still be there, and they're gonna rear their ugly head, and the other person's not
Yes.
gonna have any idea of what's going on.
oh man,
Yep.
oh man.
And I can,
So true.
So
I,
important, so
yes,
important.
yes, and
It's
I
you
can,
have to
even
talk.
in my situationships that I had with different people, I would tell them, look, it's certain things you can't say to me,
Hmm.
or if you see me and I just look like I'm sad or whatever, don't keep asking me what's wrong, just let me
Yeah.
have my moment.
Yep,
You have to communicate and let them know, because otherwise they're going, like you said, into a landmine field,
Hmm.
and they don't know what they're stepping on.
yep. The next step could be on a landmine, and you can't move your foot
Listen,
off of it because it's gonna explode.
the whole
Yes,
bombshell.
Yeah, but
yes.
I mean, communication is key because when you let somebody know tell somebody what they're feeling, how they're feeling, it gets that person to understand you just a little bit more better, a
Right.
lot better. I mean,
Hmm.
I know with the person that I talk to, there are instances where I don't necessarily joke. I go into moments to where I don't say anything,
Hmm.
and just like, "Are you okay? I'm good for now. Just let me sit over here and marinate for a little while. 10 maybe 10 20 minutes later, I'm okay."
Right.
But allow that person to have the space to have their moments, because you got to be able to let that person have their moments. But also,
Hmm.
I think for the person that's entering into that, be supportive. Be supportive. I tell
Yes.
you what, a small gesture means something big for someone who's been through something like that. I'll say, a hand on the shoulder, a reassuring hand on your shoulder, or better yet, say, "Hey, come here, sweetheart, come here, babe. Let me give you a hug."
Right.
A hug or a kiss on the forehead, or just some positive words. Those things mean a lot to people who have been through traumatic events, whether it's abuse or whatever.
Hmm.
But it also boils down to the traumatized person, to be willing to accept it,
Hmm.
Right.
because some people are triggered off touch.
Hmm.
Yep.
Some people just automatically go into defense mode off touch,
Like,
and
why you touching me like that?
yeah, or
Hmm.
better yet, you just, "Hey, look, I'm putting my hand on your shoulder. I'm not trying to do anything to you." Or better yet, "I want to give you a
Yeah.
hug. Just come here." Just and then if that person has their moments, allow them to have their moments.
Hmm.
If they're gonna have a crying, they're gonna have a crying session for 30 minutes. Let them have it.
Hmm.
Let them have it.
Right.
You know, offer your shoulder. Offer whatever. Some tissue, some water, whatnot. Let them have that moment, because those are the moments that help cleanse that person from what's been from the dirt of that traumatic incident. You
Right.
know, I always say, tears are good for the soul. Tears are good for the soul because those they cleanse you of all the impurities that you experience in life, whether it's abuse in any other traumatic event. You know, I mean, and I know for me, I'm being extra. You know, every once in a while, I go outside and walk in the rain. Just stand there and let
Right.
the rain just come down. And like in my mind, like, what are you doing? Standing in the rain. Why? Because I got some stuff that's on me physically that I need to wash off.
Yeah, I was about to
Right.
say it's cleansing. It's
Yeah.
cleansing.
Cleansing. Unfortunately, I can't stand in the rain. If I could, I probably would. But with these aches and pains, I can't. But listen, I cleanse over here in the tub. I'll take me a spiritual bath.
I
But
mean, that works
yes.
too. That works too. I mean, but I think the other thing that's most important, I think that Miss Melanie touched on it briefly, is that being able to just find God in that moment.
Yes.
You have to be able to find God in that moment. And, and most of the times, you find God in the moment to where you're at your lowest point, or at the point to where you might be at, where you might actually lose your life or lose
Yeah.
yourself in the process.
Hmm.
So it is
Yes.
important to find God in that moment. It's also important to to maintain that relationship because I think I know for me, if it wasn't for that intervention, just that moment of me being able to find my way,
Mm-hmm.
I, s- I would have still been wandering around. So it is important to find God in that moment. It is also important to to maintain that relationship because I think at the end of the day, you're responsible for you.
Right.
You can't. I've learned that whatever actions someone took against me, whether they were harmful or not, that's the actions that they take against me. I can't hold them to that. I have to forgive them and let it go. But I can't hold myself to it either. So I have to forgive myself
Mm-hmm.
and let it go.
Right.
I think forgiveness of self, and those are the two hardest things I think for us as human beings to deal with.
Yeah.
Forgiveness of others and forgiveness of self. For some people, forgiveness of self is the most difficult thing ever because
For me.
because you feel like you can't do it, but you can't do it,
Yeah.
or that you were responsible for what happened.
Hmm.
Yeah. You blame yourself. You feel like a failure. All
Yeah.
those things.
The one thing that I say to you, Miss Melanie, is what I say this, and this is not to be harsh or cruel or nothing like that, but it's just the reality of the situation. It is something that helped me get through what I went through.
Hmm.
What happened happened. You know, at this point, blaming yourself or blaming him doesn't won't necessarily solve anything, but please don't beat yourself up too hard because just like just like he's human, you're human as well. So don't blame yourself for someone else's actions. The actions that he took he was cognizant and conscious when he took them.
Hmm.
So don't blame yourself for don't say that if I did this, he wouldn't have did that. So don't get into that what if type of conversation with yourself. Just say it is what it is. I forgive myself and move forward because when you don't forgive yourself, you stunt your forward progress.
Thank you.
And there, and honestly speaking, there's so many people that there's so many voices and so many souls that you have that you have inside of you that can benefit from what you have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Amen. Amen. Preach it now.
I am not a preacher, kid. No,
Can we get an amen in the corner?
Amen.
I am not a preacher, lady. I'm just
You know I got jokes.
I know.
Listen.
I just I just try to apply certain instances to my own life, man. I mean, like I said,
Absolutely.
God, one thing is I do is I God is important in my life, and then also, just there are other philosophies that I take in life too. You know, I read a lot of Lao Tzu. I read a lot of Sun Tzu. So those are philosophies that I take into my life as well. Those are things that I apply as well as
No,
applying God's word too.
correct. Do you want to talk about the books that you wrote while we here?
Oh man, see,
Yeah,
look at
listen.
that.
Yep. I'll put you
Shameless
everywhere.
plug, shameless plug,
That's
shameless plug,
exactly shameless plug. We're gonna talk about that
shameless
and how
plug.
to contact your platform. Yeah.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
we do.
So
Mm-hmm.
the two books that I wrote, first book that I published in 2018 was called Broken Chains. It deals with domestic abuse. The second book that I published in 2019, it was The Road Less Traveled. That deals with the mental health aspects of a lot of things.
Mhm.
I talk about um, grief and loss. I talk about suicide and depression. I talk about PTSD. I talk about all those things. Both these books are written from, well, the second book was written from a personal perspective of mine because of my own mental health journey. The first book was written loosely off my own experiences. Um, those two platforms are something that I'm extremely adamant about. Domestic violence in guy and men, but also mental health in men, because that's another subject that's rarely talked about, especially in our circles.
Right.
So those are two platforms that I'm very, very adamant about. I try to speak on those as much as I can. Um, Also, my my podcasting platform is Trailblazers Radio, which is also um, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. And I also upload audio episodes to Anchor. So if someone doesn't want to watch a video, they can listen to it on Anchor. Um, I also do an audio podcast, a personal audio podcast called Unpopular Opinion, where I take on a subject and I throw my unpopular opinion on it. Um, the
That's
last two
cute.
episodes were kind of intense.
What did you talk about? Not
So,
to get off topic, but what did you talk about?
so the second episode was an idea that was brought about by my brother. He actually provided the script for the episode. So we talked. So he talked about a lot about what the Second Amendment meant for him and the reason why it exists. I just spoke the words from the script and added my own flair to it.
Okay.
The second the last episode that I put out. So I put both of those out simultaneously. One was on the 7th, the other was on the no, one was on the 6th, the other was on the 7th. The one on the 7th spoke about I'm not embarrassed about saying this either. This was a response to, well, and what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
No, what's the word I'm looking for? A It wasn't an official response, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
response to a representative making a statement about if people don't like the flag, they can get out of the country. Get out of the country.
Oh,
So my response, I had a response to that,
I'm
and
sure.
let's just it went down. It wasn't a profanity based rant,
I'm gonna go
but
listen to it. Don't worry about it.
it's on Anchor. Go check it out.
I'll go to check it out. And Fred don't know, but Mel, he gonna have you on his show.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
come.
Shameless plug. Yeah.
You
Amen.
know
Praise the
what?
Lord.
I would be honored if you would come onto the platform. I would be so honored.
I would love
Hmm.
to. I would love
See,
I
to.
this
appreciate.
is connections. This is what we do.
I appreciate because the one thing I want to do much. I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive into your story and what motivated you to write what you write.
Hmm.
Yes. I
Yes,
would
get
love
that
to.
thing out there. Listen, I'm gonna be sitting right there with some popcorn. Like, yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like and like I said before, she has all these people locked up in her
Hmm.
that need to hear what she got that needs to hear what she got to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's
So
a message.
so speak
Yes.
so speak your truth, sister, and do not be and don't be afraid to speak it.
And then what's crazy is with her story, you know how she was the first lady. So you know how it goes to the church too, how,
Yeah.
the man of the cloth and yeah, the
And it's always
masses.
like, well, you should just forgive him and let it be.
Yeah,
Yes.
No.
no.
Matter of fact,
But
hell no.
yeah.
No. I mean, it doesn't. I look for me, and again, this is from my personal take on that. Uh, whether it's male or female, whether it's a male or female that's perpetrating the act, or whether it's a male or female that's suffering from the act. To me, abuse has no gender. It has no sexual
Nope.
orientation,
Nope.
and it doesn't differentiate between friend and foe.
No, it
That's
sure
right.
don't. And then it ain't just in relationships either, because then you have the
No,
parents, you have your
exactly.
sisters, you have all sorts of people that's abusing you. So,
Yep.
absolutely.
So it don't differentiate between nobody, and it leaves a trail of destruction in its wake.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody's traumatized. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. The person that's the most traumatized is the one that it happens to.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
So, man, look, I can wax on that all day long, but I know you got a show to run, so I'm gonna stop right there.
Nah, you fine. Actually, my other guest, she hasn't popped on yet, so we can continue to go or we can cut it loose. Cause you know me,
I'm,
I don't slow mo on nowhere. I give people time. They don't show up. Look, listen, I love you,
but I mean,
but
I only do
but
so.
I was about to say, Fred, did you have a question for Melody?
I do. So
Okay.
See, this is there we
the
go.
one question that I did want to ask you, you
Hmm.
know, in like the situationships that you encountered, or that
Hmm.
you started to go on, did you look at those situationships as more physical encounters, did you look for something else, emotional or mental?
Well, I didn't think, and I know it may sound weird. I didn't think that I could even have a emotional encounter with anybody. I didn't think I was deserving of it. So they were physical to me. I mean, if I just wanted to have someone just to hang out with for a minute, uh, and being a former first lady, most people would think that this was weird, but I enjoyed going to the bar and I'd hang out at the bar because I'm a football fan.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's where I didn't have anybody with me that watched football. So I would go to the bar and watch football. And I knew it was always somebody there that I could talk to or whatever. I had a 2 drink maximum. So I always had somebody with me to want to make sure I didn't drink more than 2 drinks. But I didn't go to the bar to hook up. I didn't go to the bar to
Mm-hmm.
meet anybody. I just went for companionship.
Mm.
So I compartmentalized the situationships that I had based on what the need was. If I just
Ah.
needed somebody to hang out with, that's all I was going to do is hang out and that's it.
Gotcha.
If I needed somebody to talk to on the phone, I had a guy that I could talk to on the phone and I never saw him.
Mm.
And this is going to be weird. I even had a fiance that I had not
Wait,
seen
wait,
in.
wait,
Wait, hold on,
wait, wait.
wait a minute,
Hold on. Back up.
wait a minute, wait a
Back
minute,
up. Look,
hold
back
on, wait a
up.
minute. Come
I,
again?
Try
I
that again.
even
You said yes.
I even had a fiance that he and we talked briefly when I was in high school. He was from Washington D.C. and I'm from Mississippi, so we didn't see each other except for during the summer for like a week. And then when I graduated high school, I didn't see him anymore.
Oh
So
man.
here it is, almost 20 years later, and I got something happened on Facebook. Anyway, we end up inboxing each other and talking. Still haven't seen him since 1991, but all of a sudden, like after we had connected, I got a message from one of my friends that said, "Oh, you're engaged now?" I was like, "Huh?" And he had put on Facebook that we were engaged.
Wow.
And so I'm like,
Whoa.
okay, I'm gonna roll with it because one of the things that it did was prevented me from having these crazy DMs
Right.
of guys trying to say something because they thought I was engaged.
Wow.
So And I still, from that point to now, I still haven't seen him since 1991.
So
But
basically, that was
I
a
broke off the
preventative
engagement.
measure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
She
it
put the
was.
roadblock up. Let me put the
Yes,
block.
it was. It
Stop
was.
it.
So I found myself compartmentalizing what I needed. I only addressed what I needed with the situation. Just if it was just a bodyguard, that's all you're gonna be. A bodyguard. If I just needed somebody to talk to, that's all I was gonna need. If I needed something physical, that was it. And that's how it was. That's why I said it was more of a male aspect because you don't see women doing that. That's
Right.
not a female trait. So I found myself taking on the more manly trait of compartmentalizing what my relationships or situationships were.
Wow.
And once I was done with it, I was done. Have any, I didn't have to apologize to anybody. I didn't have to feel bad because we didn't get into this saying that we're going to have a long-term relationship
Mm.
Mm,
because I didn't feel like that I deserved a long-term relationship because in my mind, I was still damaged. I was
right.
damaged. So it, I didn't really think that they wanted me for
Mm,
relationship purposes. So I just didn't allow that to penetrate my mind.
Ah, I feel you
okay.
on that. When you
I feel you on that.
and when you feel like you're damaged, you just don't want to be bothered with nobody like that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Fred, you said something earlier and it reminded me of a poem that I had wrote. And I just wanted to
Uh-oh.
share that with you, if you don't
Girl,
mind.
Come
girl,
on,
come
come on, come
on.
on.
Listen, we open ears. Come on, let it
Let's
flow.
go.
Let
Okay.
go.
All right. You are not that special, and the world does not revolve around you.
Ooh.
I never thought I owned the world, but what did he expect those words to do?
Mm,
I can have any woman I want. I was to believe this to be true, but you need to hope and pray that you find somebody who wants you.
oh my goodness.
I internalized these words. I disliked the source of them. I struggled to recover from it all, but I found I could not hate him. What I should have said in the beginning is, I am that special, maybe just not to you. I really don't think I'm the sun, but to someone I can glow like the moon.
Ooh.
I should have not let those words sting so bad. They will tear at your soul like nothing else can. What I didn't know then, but I realize now is I'm not less by any means. I'm greater than.
Ooh. Look at here. Look at here.
Girl, girl, girl. Look, let me snaps. But girl, you told them off all in a nice way and then positive energy all in that. Girl,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
But one of the things Mr. Fred said was, I have to forgive him. I can't hold grudges against him or
Hmm.
myself. And that's one of the things I found that I could not do. No matter what he did to me, I didn't hate him. I still don't hate him. I can't talk to him right now, but that's on him. That's not anything that I did. That's because
Right.
he's not able to progress forward. But
Yep.
I don't hate him. And I can't hate him because to hate him lessens the trauma that I went, it lessens the experience that I had. And
Yep.
one of the things that I realized once I wrote this book is that every experience that I had was not for me.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Every experience that I had, every boundary that I had to cross was for me to be able to help somebody else in in the future. So
Hmm.
somebody's come to me that's going to need to know what to do in that kind of situation. And if I've never been there, I can't help them.
Exactly.
Right.
And
But now that God has allowed me to not even go there, but take me through it, because that's one of the things that
Hmm.
people don't realize and understand. God's with you while you're going through your struggle, but He's
yep.
Yep.
taking you through it. He's not leaving you.
Hmm.
He brought me through that struggle so I can help somebody else to come through.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, the one question I
That
did
is
want to ask you, Melanie, and I'm asking this to you too, Sheena. So,
what you want.
dang. So through through y'all's experiences with what you guys have experienced. Did you did you find yourself wanting to protect yourself more physically? What I mean by that is like the purchase of a gun, mace, a stun gun, a knife, something like that.
I'll start. My situation was a lot. It's weird. Um, my spouse was obsessed with guns, so he had actually purchased me two guns and had purchased two guns for himself. So when I filed for divorce, I just asked for okay, let me have my two guns. He had the other two because they were paid for with my money anyway.
Right.
So I didn't have to go out and purchase one. Now one did get stolen out of my vehicle, but I do carry a gun myself because I am licensed to carry one. I do carry a gun myself. Um, but here's the weird part about it, Mr. Fred. I don't think of it as to protect myself. I think of it as to protect somebody else who might need it. And I think that's kind of different because if I take it, I'm always taking it in thinking about, okay, somebody might get in some trouble and I might need to use it or at least be able to protect them.
But you know what? That's a good tenet to have because
Yeah.
I think in the moment of it all, in the moment of it all, if it ever, I think if it ever would ever boil down to it, I think you would use it in defense of someone else than it would be for yourself,
Hmm.
because I think at the end of the day you're gonna be fine regardless because you already know how to handle yourself.
Hmm.
But what about that person that doesn't know how to handle themselves?
Yes.
Well, in my case, I can say I have kids. So
Hmm.
it wasn't even for my protection. It was the fact is that I have two girls and say if they try to harm my kids, because in the midst of my situation, I got stalked for almost a good 6 months.
Hmm.
Everywhere I went, they were popping up.
Wow.
And I had a restraining order. So it's
Hmm.
like to have somebody violate your space, it became an issue for me.
Hmm.
Because like it's to the point to where I went down south to go see my mom and this person was still stalking my house. My neighbor was telling me. And to be watched dropping my kids off, it wasn't about me protecting me. It was about me protecting my daughters because what might you do to my kids if I wasn't protected? You
Hmm.
might try to harm my kids because you feel that's the closest thing to me. And I'm listen, those my babies. I play no games with them. So I have the taser, I have a hatchet, I have the pepper spray, and I'm licensed to carry.
She said she got a hatchet.
Yeah, it was the hatchet for me.
Ooh, so do you practice? Do you practice throwing that hatchet too?
Listen, if necessary.
Okay.
Man, oh my
But
goodness.
remember, I'm a country girl. I'm from South Carolina.
I know. That's what country girls do. That's what
So
country
you
girls do.
already know.
And I guess to answer my own question, I never thought about, I never thought about it. I never gave it any, I never gave it any cognizant thought, honestly speaking.
Before I had kids, I didn't.
Well, see, well,
My first incident, I didn't bother to get anything. My second incident, once I had kids, it was me protecting them.
Hmm.
I think after I went through the abusive part of it, with someone abusing me, I never really gave it any thought, because I think I had, at that point, I had put it in my mind that I wasn't going to allow anybody to do that to me again.
Hmm.
And if it was going to happen, I was going to fight tooth and nail to make sure no one ever did that to me again. So I never really gave it any cognizant, any thought really, you know, because the simple fact of the matter for
And
me, it was just I didn't need all that. I don't think
yeah.
I felt I didn't need all that for just for that. I mean, just using my hands alone would be, or just getting somebody off me would be enough for me to get separation and put distance between somebody that wanted to stalk me or that wanted to yeah, that for me that was, I like, yeah,
And I think
these
if
gonna be enough.
I think if it
I,
was more physical, I probably would have had the same feelings. But my spouse used to talk to me about how he could do things and with a high powered rifle or, from a distance and, put stuff in my head to make me think,
Mhm.
oh, he might try to something with me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
after he
That
brought the gun, 'cause I would come home sometimes and he just had the guns laying out in front of him, like on the bed. And so I'm like, this person is not sane. So that's why I
Right.
carry it, but
Mhm.
not so much as, okay, I got to go out and buy a gun. I
Yeah.
after the one was stolen, I didn't go out and buy another one. I just had my spare and that's all I carried. But
wow.
no, I
That's
don't think I would use it like at will.
that, that's crazy for somebody to say they can. That for me, that would be a very scary thought for someone to tell you
But
that
people do that.
they can
That
what they
Yeah.
that
can they can
that's
peg you
what
with a
they
high
do.
power rifle.
That's what they do. They
Hmm.
they mentally, excuse my French, they mentally fuck your brains. Like they
Hmm.
try to mentally fuck you and tell you all these things to fear you so that you don't leave them, or it's another form of trying to control you.
Yes,
And
bondage.
yeah,
It's a
Mm-hmm.
mental bondage issue.
and
Yep.
I think to me that's for I think for all three of us, I think we come that's a commonality. That's the most difficult part of it to kind of break that mental bondage and that mental conditioning because for
Hmm.
you've been in these, you know, you ladies have been in y'all were in y'all situations for I think for a time. So was I, and it takes time to break that mental conditioning and that bondage because I think sometimes you hear those whispers of people like, well, whispers of the person that took you through all that, and I know for me, that's what I heard for the better part of like a month or so in California. This person in my head saying, "You'll never be this. You'll never be this without me.
Mm-hmm.
You're this and you're that. You still a punk ass boy. You can't really."
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
and just to deal with, just to kind of exercise yourself from the voices and the yeah. That
That
for me that was a difficult time.
it is because you hear it repeatedly. Sometimes you unconsciously you hear it in your sleep because you've done heard it so much.
Hmm.
Like, because in my case it was like every day. I didn't know what I was going to be called or named that day. It was like constantly. There was no breaks in it. It was every
Yeah,
day, 24/7. And you
Wow.
just like, I'm tired of hearing it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, and
exactly.
to be just mentally and hearing that, like, I remember myself being in a situation to where, you know how you in a situation and somebody just keep talking and you remove yourself out the room not to deal with it and go do something else, and they follow you and antagonize you, and
Yes.
they're still in the back just chirping, and you like, just
Yeah,
shut
it's like
up, just shut up. And I remember literally, like, I was at the sink washing dishes, and I removed myself out the situation because I was upstairs first, and I came downstairs. I went to wash dishes just to get away from the situation. They come downstairs and they just still going. And I
yeah,
remember I was just so mad to whereas all the water's in the sink, so I don't know what's in the sink. And I just started, instead of hitting the person, I was just hitting my hand in the water. When I took my hand out, it was glass in there. So I ended up cutting my hand, but I didn't feel it. That's just
Wow.
how mad and blacked out I was, because it's just like, you're just doing this and I just want you to stop and leave me alone. And when I see that, I'm like, okay, I gotta get away from this. This is turning
yeah,
me into something else. This is turning me into a situation to where I'm ready to hurt you. So I gotta remove this self. And like, I remember a time where I literally remember slapping this person because it was just a constant. And I'm like, I gotta get out of this because I'm gonna end up in jail. And I have kids. So I gotta go because it was just constant. And after being choked in your sleep, dragged up your stairs, who wants to keep going through that? You trying to
nobody.
leave out your house and you getting juice thrown in your face. And that makes you want to, that, you know how disrespectful that is? That's like spitting in my face. I don't like spit. So I
Yeah.
had to
I
I
actually
had to
got spit on before.
like,
That was
Ugh.
horrible. Yeah.
it's just all the disrespect takes you
Yes.
to another level.
Yeah,
So
I know for me, it was always a slap to the face, and I'm real sensitive about my face.
yeah.
I'm extra sensitive about my face,
Like I'm extra
and
sensitive about my neck because I've been strangled so many times.
and
So
if you slap me, that's gonna cause a reaction that you don't want to
right.
have, that folks don't want to have. And I think it kind of walks back to what you said earlier, Miss Melody, that a lot of people, when they go through this, they go through that situation, they change for the worst part. Well, for the worst, they
Mm-hmm.
they go back, they go to being that hard person, or
Mhm.
that the person that they was trying to escape from, they end up being
Mm-hmm.
that same person. They end up being that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I I personally seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine, love her to death. Well, not love her to life. Known her, known her we were was known her when we was in California. She was the one that helped me get back to some semblance of myself. She went through her own situation with this cat, this dude. I won't even call him a man. This dude,
Mhm.
and the couple of times that I, would come over there, and we're good friends. We're good friends still to this day. But it would be a couple of times I would come over there just to say hey and just to check on you. And this dude doing all kind of stupid harm. I'm like, bro, I don't think you want to do that in my presence.
Mhm.
Why? She my girl. She ain't your girl. But I don't think you want to do that in my presence. I'm gonna tell you one more time. I don't think you want to do that in my presence. Because if you do it again and I see you, you're gonna find yourself picking yourself off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I went over there. She was on the ground. She was crying. Um, she told me what had happened, and I asked her where you at? Where this
Wait,
bad?
where you at?
Where this bastard at?
Mhm.
Come to find out he was parked down the street from our apartment complex. Calmly drove to the park. He over there playing basketball.
Mm.
I just calmly wait for my turn to play. His team won, so I'm guarding him the whole time. I'm I'm giving him elbows. I'm I'm elbowing him in the back of the head. I'm punching him in the gut. Put an elbow in the back of his neck one time. I think once kicked him in his groin. All kind of stuff. He over there complaining.
Right.
Man, you can't be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's basketball, bro. It's physical. It's basketball, bro. It's physical. I think the one time that guy that set him off, he went up for a layup. I put my elbow in his chest. So he got up. Man, what you think you doing? And so I told, and it was my homeboys that were there. So I told them, hey, y'all stop the game for a second. You know all that stuff you know all that shit I just did to you? Now think about the person you just abused that you just did the same thing to.
Mhm.
Think about that. You don't like all that. So and that was my last time telling him. I said, look, this is my last time telling you, bro. And this is your final warning. This is your final warning. If my friend called me and tell me that you done put her hands on you, that you done put her hands on her, the next phone call you gonna have to make it to the San Diego Police Department.
Mm.
I'm coming over there with murderous intent. I'm gonna murder your ass. And I smile the whole time while they got me cuffed up. Yeah, I did it. That's me over here. So the funny part about that is I become so much more adamant about guys not doing that to females. And
Mhm.
and I always tell her, and I tell them all the time, you gonna be me. It's gonna be you gonna be. I'm gonna meet you with violence, bro. I'm gonna meet you with violence. Don't let me find out that you did that to a female. Don't let me find out that you did it to somebody that I know,
Right.
or someone that I'm extremely fond of, that I treat like a mother or a sister. Oh, you gonna pay? And like I said, I smile the whole time. I'll be smiling the whole time while I'm punching you in your face. And I guess dude called the police. I was like, man, he threatened me. I said, sir, I ain't put my hands on him. I ain't put my hands on him yet. And I told it to the police officer, I ain't put my hands on him yet. I said, but you better tell him. You better tell him what I told him, what I said. If I find out he put his hands on him, or her, yeah, he's done. He is done. And he made that mistake. And she called me. I beat that boy within an inch of his life.
Sometimes they have to reap what they sow, unfortunately.
That the funny part, I thank God that the police officer showed up with somebody that I
Right.
knew and said, "Man, look, man, just bounce, just go somewhere, dog. Just go somewhere and
Right.
cool off, man. I will handle this.
Yeah.
Just go somewhere and cool off, man. I handle this. Just go chill out somewhere, man. Matter of fact, here's $40, man. It's a bar down the street. Drinks on me. I'm so much more adamant about that now because now,
Yeah.
and even with my male friends, like I tell them, man, look, man, if someone treating you like that, man, dude, you just bounce, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It ain't worth all the extra stuff.
That comes behind it.
Yeah, if you gonna put your hands on it, you know you're gonna pay a price for that.
Right.
He said, no. I said, yeah, you are. I said, what you mean? I said, you may not pay a price with law enforcement, but if I'm your friend, I'm gonna hold you accountable. I'm gonna hold you accountable for that,
That's right.
and I'm gonna
And
make sure that you pay for that.
and that's the thing. I think a lot of people need to have somebody hold them accountable because they'll have people that's not holding them accountable and they think it's okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because one of my abusers is still abusing.
yeah.
Mm.
So I'm just like,
I think it also goes back to us teaching the younger generation, our
yep,
younger men and women that all that violence and abuse is not okay, man.
right.
Y'all don't gotta be scrapping like cats and dogs to get along.
That's true.
Hmm.
And I hear from the young guys all the time. Well, that's the only way I'm gonna put her in check, bruh. You ain't got
What?
that. All
Wait.
that ain't necessary, homeboy. All
Wait.
that ain't
That's the
necessary.
only way I'm gonna put her in check.
I said,
Wait.
first of all, that's a female. She gonna have her
Yeah.
own mind, dog. So you got to respect that. If you talk about controlling somebody, first of all, that don't do that.
No.
Right.
You know. And I had to tell one young man like, look, bruh, you look. Let me tell you something, youngster. They say a corner mouse never fights. Don't believe that. Don't believe that because if you put a mouse in the corner, he or she gonna fight. He or she gonna fight back, and they gonna fight back with ferocity.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And they gonna keep fighting until either they dead, either they ain't moving no more, or you ain't moving no more.
Right.
So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. And again, it really just needs to I don't know a lot of us older people, us old heads. I call myself an old head. 1972.
I'm an
I'm
I
80s
73.
baby.
There you go. That's what's up. That was
I'm the
up.
80s baby, so I'm not nowhere in the 70s, but
Yeah,
yes.
us old heads.
Yeah.
I'm still an old head.
Folks that's approaching 50. How about that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Amen.
Folks that approaching 50. So a lot of us older heads, we probably seen how what it means for a man to treat a woman and vice
Mhm.
versa. We probably grew up on that. I saw my father treat my mother like gold, like a
Mhm.
queen. Even when they did have their little arguments, he just go outside and he'll slam the door, just walk outside, come back
Hmm.
20 minutes later, go ahead and just knock out,
Yeah.
I've seen that, and I know I know that it's possible. But a lot of these older cats, a lot of these younger cats, man, come on, you're not gonna you ain't gonna get by like that, and it's already gonna be you condemn yourself to a sentence that you don't necessarily need to have. I
Right.
mean, I just read an article earlier today about some NFL player got arrested with no bail was denied bond on some domestic battery stuff. I'm like,
Mm.
What these dudes
Mm-mm-mm.
thinking about, man?
Control. They want a trophy wife and they want them to do what they want to do and do what I tell you and look pretty and that's it.
The aspect of control goes both ways.
True.
Just remember that. The aspect of
It
control goes both
does.
ways.
It does.
You want to control somebody, they want to control you. So
Right.
you be careful when you roll that dice and don't get snake eyes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I'm one that you give me the energy, I'm gonna give you the same energy.
Oh, we the same. We you the same. Me and you are the same
Listen,
people.
I'm giving you what you give.
The same energy you give me, I'm gonna give it right back to you. So just be
Yes.
prepared. You treat me with
Correct.
hostility, I ain't finna be nice about it. I'm gonna give you the same hostility.
Listen, absolutely. And then I'm gonna walk away and say, get out. Bye.
And again, hell,
I'll,
I'm just gonna be like, have a nice day.
yeah. No.
Have a nice day. Peace. I mean, I'm with you. I'm like you, Shannon. The same energy that you give to me, I'm gonna get. Don't think I ain't gonna match it.
Yeah, because it gets old. It gets old being, the walkover, the pushover, being nice, turning the other cheek. Sure. But at the same time, it's like, listen, you ain't gonna say and disrespect me and think I'm not gonna give you the same energy.
Exactly.
Listen. And see,
But
with my Sagittarius fire, mm-mm.
see, I'm a Cancer, so I'm nice. So I'm nice, nasty.
Well, I'm a Virgo, so I'm slick nice.
See, we all got our nice, but got that little fiery
Yeah.
spice in there.
I'm nice, nasty. So I'm like, and then I tell and I give folk, I give that folk, I give and see, for me, I give you one opportunity to I give you one opportunity
Right.
to hang yourself.
Absolutely. You give them
He,
enough rope.
here's this rope. If you decide you want to tighten the noose on it,
There you go.
that's on you. Ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mhm.
But also the same thing. It's just accountability. It still goes back to
Yeah.
personal accountability.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, like I said before, Miss Miller, you what he did is what he did.
Yeah.
I would have been swept that up under the rug.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me. I would have been swept up under the rug. All right, he did it. That's fine. What's important? What's important now? Me.
Yeah. And it just took me a while, Mr. Fred, to get over it. I mean, get to that point because I had endured this for 23 years.
Right.
This
Mm,
was more than half
that's a
my
long
life
time.
now.
Right. That's
Yeah,
a long time.
So it
that's a
took me
long
a while to
time.
just kind of purge it out. And
Right.
Hmm.
so, but I don't think that I blame myself as much. It was just that I took responsibility for some things in the beginning that I shouldn't have. And I
Right.
was like,
Right.
well, maybe I'm doing something that's triggering it.
Hmm.
And I had to realize it wasn't me.
No, it
It
was him.
wasn't me.
It was him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you ask yourself, well, did I do something wrong? And
Yeah.
then when you get to that point where you're always questioning whether you've done something wrong,
Yeah.
you find out that, wait a minute, this ain't me. It's his dumb ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like, when you're out places and they blaming you because you're flirting or it's your fault or
Oh,
you
yeah.
you giving that person too much attention or why you smiling in their face like,
Yeah.
listen, well, I'm supposed to mean mug
That's the
people?
waiter. What I
That's
supposed to do?
What
but
you
see
want me
that
to do? Exactly, like you're right. That's
that's
the waiter. That's the server. What am I supposed to do?
that's jealousy and insecurity right there.
Yeah.
And
Listen.
see and I'm gonna tell you most dudes and women that abuse their spouses or their loved ones, it's an insecurity issue. It's a
Yeah.
jealousy issue.
Yeah.
Both of them had it. Lord Jesus.
If I can
Everybody that came around, I slept with them. I said,
Yeah.
damn,
oh
I'm such a hoe. Jesus. You giving me every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
yeah,
Like,
I'm like
hello.
oh yeah, I mean, and even for me, that stuff that pushed me on the edge. You messing with her now? You messing with her? You messing with that hoe? Wait
Listen.
a minute. I
Mm-mm.
spent my waking moments with you, lady.
Right.
I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
And it,
Listen.
and then when you constantly defend yourself all the time,
Hmm.
it becomes an old song. It becomes an old record
Yes. Yes.
that you play over and over again. Like, damn, I gotta put this record on again. Here,
Hmm.
listen to this. I didn't do it.
Right.
It's not me.
Hmm.
And then after a while, you be like, you get to the point that we're like, let me just break this record and just be like, hey, look, whatever you got going on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm need you to secure. I'm need you to secure that shit for real.
And it's
Mhm.
crazy because that insecurity is really bad. Like even going to the phone store and you're just trying to get a phone put on and you still
Oh,
think that somebody is trying to flirt, or you're going to Subway, or you're going out like that because like you said that song and dance becomes old, and like you said continuously to defending yourself, you get tired. You like, listen,
Yeah,
at this point, why you with me? Why we together?
exactly.
if you gonna accuse me of so much stuff,
Right.
yeah.
Like, why are we even here? And then it's, oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to hear the I'm sorry's no more.
How about
Hmm.
this? How about you talk? How about we go this way? It ain't no I talk to you. It ain't me. It ain't you talk to your people. It ain't me talk to my people. Let's just do this
Yeah.
Right.
for the betterment of you and for the betterment of me. Matter of fact, for the actually for your safety. How about we just do this?
But see, it's bad because see, when I departed, they still wanted to follow me, stalk me, call me 20 times, needed me to answer the phone, leave me threatening messages. Like, listen, it was to the point I didn't even pay my phone bill because I didn't want to hear the phone ring.
Mm.
You know what? I tell Jim, and see this is what I had to tell. This is what I had to tell my abuser, and this is when I finally confronted her after didn't confront her but inadvertently ran into her after 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just some just some rando stuff. I'm out hanging out with people. We having a good time. All kind of stuff. I see you over there. I didn't say anything. Kept in my just kept focusing on my friends and partying. Hey, I mean, at this point, I'm 5 drinks in already.
He
And
lit.
oh well, almost. I just had a drink, one more half a drink, and I would have been there. So again, we're just hanging out, just chilling. You know, we shoot me and my friends. We shooting pool. We're enjoying it. We're enjoying. I'm enjoying the company of my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
My brothers and the one sister, the one, well, I call her my sister now, but the one good female friend that I had. So Miss Lady taps me on the shoulder. Hey Fred, how you doing? I turn around. I knew she was there, and I knew she was
Mm-hmm.
gonna tap on right or left. So I already knew what was gonna happen. So it didn't scare me. I just turned around. Hey, how you do? What's happening? Nothing much. So talking about can I talk to you for a minute? You can talk to me right here. No, I want to talk to you in private. No, we can talk right here.
Right.
What you afraid of me or something? It's not me being
No.
afraid of you. It's just me wanting to be somewhere where I got peeps around.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to you. She said, "Come on now, don't be like that." I said, "No." I said, "I put it like this: if you want to talk in private, one of my peeps going with me.
Hmm.
If not, we can
Mm-hmm.
talk right here." And besides, it's like this. It's loud enough, and everybody ain't paying. Everybody ain't paying you. Ain't paying you no attention. So what's up? Well, I thought about you and missed you, and I wanted us to get back together. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
No, ma'am. Why
Listen.
not? You don't got to be like that.
Mm-mm. They funny.
Look here. I got very little time to. I got very little time to dust off an old record in
Right.
this crate and play that song again. I'm good, man. I'm more than
Mm-mm.
good at this point. Come on, Fred. I'm a changed person. You say that,
Mm-mm.
but I don't know that.
Right.
Well, I mean, obviously you changed. I said, yeah, for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I purged you out of me, now you want to come back and try to do all this and chatter, do all this chatter, and now you want to try to speak sweet nothings in my ear to make me feel like to lower my defenses.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm good. The bridge stays up,
Right.
and right before she left, So we talked for a little while long. Right before she left, she said, "You'll regret, you'll regret, you'll regret not, you'll regret turning me down." I said, if that's a threat,
Right.
if that's a threat, if you threat bodily harm on me, then you may as well take my life right now because I'm not changing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that in the presence of my peoples, you gonna regret it. So you might want to retract what you just said. She looked at me. She walked away. From that point, I was still in California, and I lived in California for 10 years, and that was like my second year back in California, and I hadn't heard or seen from her since that time. And it's amazing how people can try to worm their way back into you by doing
Mm-hmm.
all this and chattering and speaking sweet nothings. Oh, it'll be different. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
changed person. Come on, give me a chance. Nah, man. Kick rocks.
Right.
Kick rocks. If you hurt me one time, you do it again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
First time shame.
Absolutely.
First time shame on me. Second
Mm-hmm.
time shame on you.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
There will be no third time.
Absolutely. Amen. Say that again. It will
There will
not
be no
be.
third. There will not be a
I
third time.
agree. No.
No. You gonna get two strikes from me. There ain't no three strikes you out.
Nah.
Mm-mm.
You got
It's
two
only
strikes from me.
two. And you lucky you get that second one.
Exactly. And I'm not giving you a base on balls, bro. I'm
Oh
not
no.
giving you.
Mm-mm.
You're not finna take
Mm-mm.
4 pitches and walk the first base,
No.
bro. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Not even.
No.
But I
Not
have
finna.
a story, something to that. Like, I'll never forget my last abuser. It was crazy because, like, maybe it was like maybe 2, 3 years later, and they started trying to inbox me on Facebook. They
Mm-hmm.
would
Oh.
make different names. I would block that page, or to be like, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while." I would block that page. I
Oh.
wouldn't respond to them, and I'll never forget. I was in Vegas, and it was about 2 years ago. I was in Vegas. I had to go down there for a paparazzi convention, so I'm enjoying life, doing what I need to do business wise and stuff.
Exactly.
And my phone go off. I see a text message. Oh, hi. I don't know if this is your number. This is so and so. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything to happen. I apologize. It would be nice to see you again. Things have changed. I'm da 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 and blah blah blah. And I still love you and we can get back together. I left that message right there on standby. Like, mm-mm. Then in my inbox is
Blah.
like, oh, it's because mind you, they will always try to connect with me around my birthday. Oh, it's your birthday. Can I take you out? Can I treat you?
No,
Block. Like, no, I'm not doing. I
you may
left
not.
you back in 2017, and that's where you're staying. I'm good.
I left you
No,
for a reason.
exactly. But
And
they be trying. They be trying.
hard.
They be trying. It's like, just listen, you, like you said, fool me once, fool me twice. It's on you. Nah, you're not getting no more. It's
Nope.
not batters up. Keep trying. See how you load the bases. No.
Nah, we ain't doing that because I'm not gonna give up a grand slam at all.
Nope.
Right.
No,
That
ma'am.
grand slam might be my life. No.
Yeah.
Or yours. And then I'll be in
Exactly.
jail. So no. No.
Exactly.
No.
And it was that moment was like it was surreal, but it was also like a moment where a chat where like a part of my life had finally just washed away. And
Right.
one of my male friends had walked over to me and asked me, "Was I okay?" And he noticed that I had tears in my eyes. He said, "You okay? You okay, man?" I said, looked at it for a minute. I told him I am now. He said, "Well, what happened?" I said, a part of my past just voluntarily voluntarily decided to exit themselves from my life.
Amen.
At that point, I was happy
Right.
because unfortunately, people that abuse you or that hurt you don't voluntarily make an exit from your life. They want to
Right.
insert themselves in some way, shape, or form,
Mm-hmm.
and and when you have to forcefully tell folks, "Look, we ain't no more. You go somewhere." You
Right.
go to the left, my dude. You go to the left, my dude. You go
Hmm.
to the left, my girl. Just go.
Mm-hmm.
But when people don't want to voluntarily exit themselves in your life, and you have to forcefully tell them, look, we done, man. No, there's no coming back from that.
Right.
There's no I forgive you, but that's gonna be the extent of what that's gonna be the extent of it.
Right.
I mean, it's easy for this. I forgive you, but people always say, you know, forgive and forget, forgive and forget.
I forgive, but I
Yeah, I
ain't
got an issue
forgetting.
with that one.
I'm forgiving, but I ain't forgetting. I ain't gonna hold on to it, but I ain't
Yeah.
gonna. Please believe there's a reminder somewhere.
I think
Well,
what they really mean by that is forgive and don't hold grudges. I'm not going to hold a grudge because a grudge is going to tire me out. But I'm not going to
Right.
forget it because I'm not going to allow myself to get back in that situation.
Absolutely.
true. I think for me, forgetting part is important for me because it's a way for me to purge myself from that situation or that person. Like everybody's healing process is different. Some people won't forget
Mm-hmm.
what someone did to them. Me, I choose to forget it because it's finally where it belongs, behind me. I can take the lessons from it and apply it to my life currently, but me bringing it back up, it would do more harm than good.
Well, see, my forget is not that I bring it up. I use it as a story, but I don't continuously talk about it.
Exactly, exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? That's what my forget is. I
Right,
remember, but I'm not talking about you, but I remember.
right. And I think me talking about what I've been through, it's again, it's not something that's heard in certain circles, and it's
Right.
not talked about often anyway, because
Absolutely.
we're taught to be men. We're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be strong. And can y'all please
Yep.
stop with that misconception?
Right.
I mean, I would love to tell y'all that I would love to tell people that, hey, I'm an emotional person, but I'm still a strong person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would love to tell folks that, hey, look, I suffer from PTSD, anxiety, depression, and that's my normal.
Right.
But how do you deal with all that? Grace of God, my friend. Grace of God. That's it.
Amen. One day
Amen.
at
That's
a
it.
time.
Hell, sometimes
One day,
one
1 minute, one
1 minute at
second.
a time,
Right.
one
Depending on
second at
that
a time.
moment.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because you never
Absolutely.
because you never know what trigger. You never know what's gonna trigger you.
Right.
I mean, me hearing about that dude for the NFL getting locked up, I'm like, I sat there and I literally just had a frown on my face
Mm.
for the better part of 5 minutes. Like, I can't believe this. I can't believe these guys don't have not learned the lessons from either their fathers or either from their mothers or something from their past. Again, some people have, and it goes back to what I said earlier about anybody who goes through that. They find out what's bothering, find out what's triggering you, find out why you are the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
Figure that out. Did you have an abusive past? Did you see your mom? Did you see your mom and your dad go through an abusive relationship? Were you abused personally? Were you abused physically or sexually as a child? Figure that out first.
Right.
Once you get that figured out and you get the help that you need, then kind of sort of just, hey, let me forgive myself because I was a child and I didn't know what this was. I had no say in all that. And then forgive the people that harm you, and then move forward because 90% out of 100 people that abuse become people that abuse become
Become
abused.
abusers.
Yeah, yep,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. So that person that's
Versa.
been abused, they'll be the abuser, but then they'll put themselves in a relationship to where they're the one that's being mistreated and mishandled and abused.
Yep.
So, and that's a vicious circle. That's a
Yeah.
vicious cycle,
It
and
is.
it has to be. It has to be broken at some point. Whether
Yeah.
it's with you, whether it was whether it was you or anybody else, it has to be broke. And it takes a brave person to realize that they've done something egregious to someone,
Right.
especially because we're talking about physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. It takes a brave person to understand what it did to somebody.
Right.
It takes an even stronger
Okay.
person to recognize what they did was wrong and then assume responsibility for it. That's something I did. I knew what I did was wrong. I knew that there was a price to pay for it,
Right.
and I knew that if I told the truth, it would give me some form of solace to know that I told the truth, but also to know that I'm paying the proper penance for what I did.
Right.
So most people don't realize that part about it, and just me thinking about that part of it kind of it brings that fear that I had when I got locked up. Like, it was crazy. So many emotions ran through my mind and ran through my head at that time.
Mm.
Like, do I really want to just deal with this? No, tell the truth. The truth will set you free.
Right.
You'll be good. For real. Just tell the
Yeah,
truth.
it's true though. You
Just tell
know,
the truth.
you
I
you
mean,
are one in a million. Because many of them gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? What did I do?"
you know what? It was abject fear that compelled me to tell the truth. It was abject fear, and there's also the simple fact that I felt that I was letting my father and all the men in my family down. That
Right.
compelled me to tell the truth. And the simple fact that when I talked to the officer, he asked me the question. He asked me, did I feel like hurting myself? My response was like, yeah, because I felt bad about hurting someone else.
Right.
And that's when he came over and put his hand on my shoulder, and he allowed me to, he allowed me to cry.
Right.
So, yeah, the truth will set you free. Most definitely will. You know, the fear of failure will do that too, because you don't want to let folks down.
And see, you had a conscious mind. Is a lot of people that does this, they don't have that conscious mind of even fearing anything or caring about anybody else. They just feel they was right. They felt they did nothing wrong. Like, oh well, I did this because they said that, or they wasn't listening, or they wouldn't shut up. It was always a way of they found a reason why they did it to justify
Look,
instead of consciously thinking about what they did.
look,
So
the fear of my dad's reprisal was worse than me being locked up and going to jail. So I was scared of my dad's reprisal more than anything.
I
And I
feel
was in
you.
California, and I knew he would have jumped in his truck and been up
He
there in
was
a
coming.
minute.
He was coming. He
Yeah,
was
he
coming.
would. He, yeah, that's what I'm like. What is he? Is he here? What? Oh, let me just tell the truth now to prevent this from happening. So I was
I
more scared
feel
of my
you.
dad coming up there and telling me I'm disappointed in you than me being
Right.
locked up and being in somebody's jail. I was For me, I understood the part of me going to jail for what I did, but it was the
Mm-hmm.
fear of my dad just saying I'm disappointed in you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hell no, we can't have that. Let me tell the truth now.
And just get it out the way so we don't have to
Yeah,
go down
get it
this
over
line.
with.
I understand.
Get it over with. But yeah,
I
that's me, man. I
understand.
mean, Miss Melanie, I would love to
So
have you come on and let's do this.
Okay. I'm game. Any time I
Cool,
get a chance
cool,
to talk
cool.
and help somebody, possibly give somebody a nugget of information that might be able to put them on the right path, I'm ready.
yes, I
Cool.
love
That's
it. I
what's up.
love it.
Hey, Sheena, let's make sure that I want to make sure that me and Miss Melody exchange information
I got
so we most
you.
definitely can talk about it.
See
Cool.
what I'm gonna do
So
is I'm gonna send you her page and then you could just friend her inbox her. Boom, boom, boom. I got you. As soon as I get off, I got you.
Okay.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I know
Everybody.
we ran way over time.
Oh, not. But listen, that's what it is. When you own your own platform and you make your own lane, you can do what the hell you want. So listen, that's how it is about being a boss. And I'm a boss.
Yes,
and this is my platform. So it's okay. If it was too long for people, they can skim through later. Amen. Praise the Lord. But the message needed to be told. The Lord needed us to still stay and say amen and, have benediction. And that's what we did. So pass the plate. Let me stop. All right. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in now or later for tuning in to Let Loose and Be Free. I want to thank MJ, Mel for being here. Fred, my brother, I appreciate you for coming through. It was an honor to have both of y'all on my platform, letting loose and letting free, and giving people those nuggets and them gems from both sides of the actness. You know what I mean? You're able to see it from an abuser, from two people that were abused, and just being able to go through this journey and, let loose, let be free unapologetically. Let's just heal. But I will be back on Friday with 2 more guests. So come on through, tune in, share, like, comment, join the conversation after we leave. I'll read them later. But I thank y'all. And if y'all want to say one positive thing to the world that, you want to leave them a nugget with, and then we'll just end the show after that.
Okay, I'll go first. I just want to say to everybody out there, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. And just remember, it costs nothing to smile. A smile is priceless. It costs nothing to smile, but it is so, so very expensive to lose it. Amen. So just keep your smile. And don't hold back. Smile, because you never know when your smile may be therapy for somebody else.
Indeed. So my positive thought for today. I'll go back to a Chinese philosopher. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said this one phrase: "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." The question is, are you willing to take that step forward? Are you willing to take that step forward to heal? Are you willing to take that step forward to be free? Or basically, are you just willing to take that step forward, period? The choice is yours, but don't wait too long, because you may not ever have the chance to take that step, ever.
I love it. And I thank everybody. Tune in Friday and tune in for the rest of the month on Wednesdays and Fridays for Let Loose and Be Free.
Yeah. Join host Sheena Gardan. Join host Sheena Gardan and Lyrical 7 for Testimonial Tuesdays for 3 Tuesdays of each month. The testimonies that their guests give are not only life-changing, but they are also powerful and emotional as well. So please, join us as we go on this testimonial journey.